Hi guys, Paul Seils here. Thanks for joining us. I got a very special friend and guest with us today, Elle Salzone. Elle's a young entrepreneur who's always been pushing boundaries and challenging the status quo. She has a powerful personal story about the events leading up to her seeking truth and justice in the world. And consequently, she now makes a living helping others do the same. Elle, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so great. So you're out on the road at the moment.
I
You've
am
officially
coming
become a
to
gypsy.
I am a gypsy. I am loving gypsy life. I'm in the caravan right now. This is home and the bedroom and the office and everything in between. So yeah. It's an interesting experience living in the van. We weren't as prepared as we thought we were, but we're loving it.
Yeah, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about who you are and your background. Salzone, that's an interesting name. What's the origin of that?
That is an Italian name. And as much as I love Italian food and culture, pretty Aussie. It's my mum's married name, so I'm a third-gen Aussie through and through.
Yeah, wonderful. So what's a little bit about your background? Like, where did you grow up? What brings you to this point in time? You're a mother?
I am a mother, yes. I guess that's probably the way that most mothers define themselves first and foremost, is I'm a mum to two girls, and I've got 3 stepkids now as well. So we're a blended family with 5 kids. It's pretty chaotic, but we love it.
Yeah.
And I was born and bred in Adelaide, so I lived there my whole life, and I've only just sort of fled the nest and up here in Queensland. It's not so sunny today, but I am chasing the sunshine, so loving Queensland so far, and hope to travel as much of it as I can.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, great. And you've just recently been to Earth Frequency Festival as well, yeah?
Yes, for anyone that was at Earth Freak, oh my God, it was so much fun, so much fun. My feet hurt from dancing, and really just met so many cool people there. It was awesome. An amazing community.
Yeah, I did Earth Frequency a couple of years, maybe probably 5 years ago now. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah, you get it then. You got to come back. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
It was cold. It was in the mountains this time of year. It was delayed because of obvious reasons, and so it was a bit colder than everyone expected, I think.
Absolutely. And we've had a bit of a snap spell in southeast Queensland just in the last week, so it's been interesting. There was someone just flicked the switch on winter, and here it is.
I don't know, but I'm hoping that it gets warmer. I'm not from around here. It's warm for me. I'm in a little summer dress. I would be rugged up if I was back in Adelaide, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. So we'll touch on privacy, and that's the thing, because that's part of what we're going to talk about as well. And you were in Brisbane recently for the launch of the Clear phone, and you had a little bit of you had a bit of an adventure in your trip to Queensland, and then your subsequent return to South Australia. Do you want to touch a little bit, share about what happened with that for you?
Yeah. Oh boy, that was 3 weeks I will never forget. Yeah, I was on the Gold Coast, and I left from the Gold Coast to Adelaide, and it was the day that they shut down Adelaide shut down borders to Queensland, because there was one person got the flu or something like that.
Yeah.
And the borders shut at 5 p.m. So I landed at about 1 o'clock. I thought I was fine, and as soon as I got off the plane, I got pulled out of the line by the cops, and it was strange because there was hundreds and hundreds of people in these lines from multiple flights.
Well, you do look very suspiciously like a criminal.
Yeah, I think so. I was like, I even put a mask on just while I was in that line, because I knew that they were really sticklers for the rules there. But anyway, it actually hurt me to admit that publicly, that I put a mask on. It wasn't an enjoyable experience. But anyway, they pulled me out the line, and they basically said, we've got video evidence of you being at a protest in Brisbane on the 30th. I think that it was the 30th of March, that one. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was like, yeah, no, that wasn't me. I was definitely in Adelaide on that date. And they said, well, we've got video footage of you and we know you were there, so you need to isolate and go and get tested. And I said, well, I wasn't there, so I'm not going to do that. And they basically said, you have to. I said, what are you going to do if I don't? And then they said, we'll fine you $1,000. I said, that's cool, no worries. And I went home. When I got home, the police were already at my front door, which was interesting. They were just they claimed to be doing a random compliance check. And I was like, wow, that's really random. And I asked them, look, if I can prove to you that I was in Adelaide on that date and I wasn't in Brisbane at a protest, not that I have, it doesn't matter if I was at a protest, like you're allowed to protest. But anyway, that seemed to be their reason. Could I be free and not have to comply to these orders? And they said, yeah, no worries. So I gave them all the evidence to show that I was indeed in Adelaide. And excuse me. And the cop went to the car, came back and said, actually, the orders stand. You need to comply and you need to get tested. So I fought really hard for the next 3 days to avoid standard PCR testing. Made so many, dozens and dozens and dozens of phone calls. SA Police told me to call SA Health. SA Health told me to call the lab. The lab told me to call my GP. My GP said, we can't help you. And it just kept going around in circles. And they all basically said there's no alternative to the PCR test available. And the government will only accept the PCR test because that is the most accurate test, which was mind-blowing. I was asking, can I provide a blood test? Can I go to the hospital and have bloods taken? And they said, that's not as accurate. We can't accept that. And they actually said, the hospital doesn't have the facilities to do that. And I was like, what? Okay. So that was really, I knew that they were really forcing the PCR test, but when I started making the phone calls and really trying to find an alternative, and I was stating, like, I have a medical condition, I can't get the standard PCR test. No one ever questioned what that was or why. They just said, there's no option. There's no other option. So I was told by SA Police that I had to isolate indefinitely. I would be fined $1,000 every single day that I hadn't had the test. And also that further action may be taken, but they wouldn't tell me what that was. So on day 3, I got a lawyer involved, and the lawyer basically gave them their right, like my rights and their obligations was to provide me with an alternative option, and that they had until 5 p.m. And because it's a bit of a game, they replied, of course, at 4:59. And magically, my local clinic just down the road, who I'd already spoken to, could offer me an alternative PCR. So I had to get permission, special permission from some lady in Queensland, and go down there at a specific time. So I went down there, and lo and behold, it was still the PCR test that they were giving me. It wasn't an alternative. They just offered me no nasal swabs, so the oral only. So I protested a little bit more while I was there, but I did end up complying. I just filmed it all. I said, I'm doing this under duress. I do not consent to this. I educated them about the ethyl oxide that's on the swabs and how that causes cancer. And they were all really quite taken aback and shocked by the information that I was sharing.
And also breaking the blood-brain barrier through the nostrils as well.
And I really gave them a really good talk, and they genuinely listened. These were just people that they honestly had no idea, which I also educated them on. Like, you are performing this procedure, you need to be aware of this stuff because you can be held liable. And I was shocked that I said clearly that I do not consent and that I'm doing this under duress, and that they proceeded to do the test anyway, because that is illegal and not informed consent. But I got the PCR test. I regretted it instantly. It was a lot of pressure. We've got 5 kids, like I said, and it was Easter long weekend. So I really felt like I was ruining everybody's holiday by having to stay at home. And then the police continued to come to my house that night and every other night after that, still harassing me, saying that I needed to go again on days 5 and 13, and still not offering me any other solution. I said, well, okay, I needed an appointment for the first time. You're going to have to get me an appointment for the second time. And I just got the ring around again. I managed to actually put the onus back on SA Police at that point for them to be ringing around and trying to find an alternative. And they took that responsibility. And then they realized that, it was really a joke of a situation. but they were very aggressive. They were threatening to arrest me. I've got two $1,000 fines. The children were very distraught on some occasions. My 2-year-old's now scared of police. They were coming around up to as late as 10 o'clock at night, holding me up for over an hour, asking me the same questions. It was ridiculous. And in the end, I got some information from a mutual friend of ours, Dave, and I actually served them with a notice of liability, which I need to make public for everybody, because they did actually stop harassing me after I served them this notice of liability.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting, a very interesting experience, and led me to something else that I'll probably share with you a little bit later in this chat about what we've done since we started understanding that we actually do have power, and that these authorities are actually acting fraudulently, and they actually are way overreaching their power.
Yeah, which is super interesting, and I've covered a bit of ground to it as well for anyone that hasn't sort of tracked any of the information that I do, because I get across and talk to people about getting reset ready, and I do a lot of research as well previously, Alan. This whole thing under the Biosecurity Act, which is of 2015, which was revised 2017, they're basically operating under medical martial law at the moment, and it's the chief health officers who are issuing the directives, and they're all under the directives of Jane Holton, who attended Event 201 in the US in October of 2019 as a simulation for the coronavirus pandemic.
Right.
But nationally, Australia is due for renewal under the 90-day extension laws on the 17th of June. And I'm not sure about the other states. Everyone will have to look it up. It's on a state-by-state basis. I know that Queensland is due for another extension on the 29th of June. So I put a post out recently that people need to have a look at and just see what turns up as far as outbreaks and having to have a lockdown in the last 2 weeks of June.
It's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, they reset South Australia's every 4 weeks without a case, without having a single case. They just it's already signed a few days before. It just slips through. I don't understand how they can do that, but it's really good to know this information for ourselves. But what I found is that the local police officer that's actually following orders from above and coming to your house, they don't understand any of this. So I started to state the Biosecurity Act and asking for biosecurity orders, and the answers that I always got was, we are, like what you just said, well, we're acting on the Emergency Act, and they, then you say, well, federal law actually overrides state law, and they just still, well, this is the Emergency Act, we're following emergency orders, and they think that gives them the authority to do what they're doing, but the reality is that it doesn't, which is why none of these fines hold up in court.
Yeah, interesting. So that's what transpired. So are you able to disclose where that matters at this point in time? Like, so you've received two $1,000 fines. What are they inferring the fines were for not following directives?
Correct. The fines state that I refused to follow orders during an emergency. It says during a major incident, actually. It's very broad. I did show it to the lawyer that was helping me, and I'm no longer using a lawyer, by the way, but I did initially. I was quite overwhelmed, and it was a pretty confronting experience. I've since educated myself on the law, and my partner's done an amazing job at educating himself. We actually, a little bit off topic, but very relevant. We actually went to court last week, I think it was, and he's got quite a nice pile of fines himself. He had some pretty serious charges, and we actually had them thrown out of court completely. So one charge was aggravated assault, one charge was an intervention order. It was a pretty, I certainly don't want to make my partner look like he's a violent person or anything like that. It was a very silly thing. It was
he's a great guy.
Yeah, brutal custody battle gone wrong, and I was there when the incident happened, and he basically touched somebody's elbow. They pressed charges, and he was taken away in handcuffs. Anyway, all the magistrate knew when we walked into that courtroom was basically that there was no evidence presented or any arguments made. He was there on aggravated assault charges, which are quite serious charges. But he served the courtroom with a 22-page, I believe, document, an affidavit, and it took him a very, very long time to piece together all of the information to get this right. But he walked in, he said the right things, we did our homework, and the judge actually forced SA Police to throw that out of court. So all charges dropped. The reason being is that, like I said, it is a fraudulent system. They are acting fraudulently. These court, it's basically like an act is the easiest way to explain it. Like, it's a game and it's an act, and you have to go in and you have to act your role. And if you actually understand what to say and more importantly, what not to say, you can play the game and you can beat them at their own game. And the reality is, if they see your affidavit that you serve on them before you go, they will know by what you've written whether or not you actually have all of your ducks in a row. And if you do, they will not play that game with you at all. They will throw out any charges, they will dismiss it, and they will bury it. Because if they don't, and they hear this out in the courtroom, it's on public record, and they do not want their fraud exposed. So step one was getting it thrown out of court. Like, this is all pretty mind-blowing stuff to us that it actually worked, and it worked as easily as it did. Step two is now we're serving them with costs. So his fees, my partner's fees, are $10,000 an hour. So for the time that he was arrested, the time that he was in court, all the time that they've taken up, he's charging them at $10,000 an hour. So costs will be served. And there's step three, which we're not going to show our hand before we play it. So we'll go through step three, and then we'll share that with everybody as well. But we are going to educate others on this because it is effective. There's a lot of information out there about things like common law, and as helpful as some of it has been, some of it was also a little bit off. And I know a lot of people have gone in and attempted to use common law to defend themselves, representing themselves in the courtroom, and basically been laughed at and made a fool of themselves unknowingly. And so it is really, really important to speak to the right kind of people and do your homework and take it seriously. If you do, it literally sets you free. Like, we literally walked into the courtroom with major charges and had them thrown out, and now we're going to get paid for it. Like, that's awesome. And yeah, I was going to say something else, but I've totally lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, no, so there is, I was going to say about the common law stuff, and we've got a lot of people and clients, and that's then get involved in the common law groups. And I sort of refer people there as well. But sometimes you're right with what you're saying, Elle. Sometimes a little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. And it's like it's getting some good advice from people that know what they're doing in those common law groups, etc.
It is a lot of information to take on board, and they will play the game very hard to fool you into attaching yourself to the straw man. And you can do that in so many ways. And as soon as you do that, it's game over and they win, and they can hold you to that because you are identifying yourself as the straw man. So there were so many ways that they tried to fool him. In fact, a prime example was when he walked into the courtroom. He before he walked into the booth, I don't know what it's called,
the dock
section there. Yeah, the dock. Yeah, it's called the dock, right? And he actually had to say permission to come aboard.
On board.
Permission to come aboard. He had to ask that question before he stepped foot in the dock. And he asked, and the magistrate yelled at him and said, "Just get in there." And she was very angry when he said those words because she knew what was going on. And he asked a second time, and it's the magic number of 3. You need to ask certain questions 3 times. I don't know why. I just know it's 3. If you ask 3 times, one of 2 things will happen. The magistrate or the judge will leave the courtroom, and then you can dismiss your own case, or permission will be granted. So the bailiff tried to push him into the dock, literally, and he held his ground, and he asked a 3rd time, and then the bailiff said granted. So they knew what he was talking about. He got permission to go into the dock. If he didn't get permission, if you go onto a ship without asking permission, what are you? You're a stowaway. Stowaways have no rights. So you basically have no rights at that point in time. So he was granted permission. He walked in. Basically, as soon as that happened, the police stood up, and the magistrate asked them, said that they need to talk to each other, and the police dismissed both charges, and we walked out. That was it.
Mm.
It was that simple. But little tiny things like that. They also tried to stitch him up before we even went into the courtroom, and the police officer was asking certain questions outside of the courtroom, trying to get him to, at that point, attach himself to the straw man. And again, he knew all the right things to say. If in doubt, you basically just state, "I do not understand," and you can say that as many times as you want. And it's almost like a battle of willpower. Like, it really was quite confronting. The police officer was screaming at him and getting very, very angry as he was trying to serve them with this affidavit. And it's a very high pressure situation. But if you've done your homework and you treat it like a game, like you treat it like you're going onto the battlefield, onto the football ground, onto whatever.
Game of chess.
It was actually quite a fun experience. And now we feel empowered. We felt very powerless. I felt very powerless when I was being singled out, bullied, accused, false accusations thrown my way by the police. And I thought, well, you know, if this was anybody else doing this to me, it would be stalking, it would be bullying and harassment. I would be able to go straight to the police and get a restraining order. No issues at all. But because it's the police, who do I turn to? And I actually felt really like there was no help. Like, I felt like I was really on my own. I had an amazing community rally around me, but they weren't like physically there fighting that battle with me. I was on my own, and it was quite confronting. And also my partner, during his custody battle, has felt very powerless as well. So understanding and learning this stuff, as hard as it has been, has given us back our power. And we are so excited to share what we've learned with as many people as possible, because power to the people, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that hasn't heard about it as well, so the concept of the straw man, for anyone that doesn't know, the straw man or the straw man illusion is really the corporation that's created for you when you're born, which appears as your name in all capital letters. And that's the corporation that's bonded to your birth certificate. And that's the thing. There's a lot of time that you can spend in admiralty, maritime law, the straw man concepts and that sort of thing. So that's why when you receive traffic fines or you receive correspondence from the tax office, etc., that's your name as it appears in all capital letters. That's your straw man.
And that's not me. That's not me. I'm a living woman. That is the fictional character that they've created when I was born, in capital letters. That's a corporation. It's not me. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting stuff to learn.
It is very interesting. And I know you can spend a lot of time in it. A lot of people are very passionate about it. I have spent a lot of time in that previously and sort of learnt my lessons. Wherever I can, I always try to carry myself in a way, or carry my frequency where I don't get caught in those games or systems anymore, because I don't want to partake. I got caught in it once for like 5 years, and it took me ages to get out.
Yeah, I understand that wholeheartedly, and I think I probably turned a bit of a blind eye to that as well, and let that be, you've got to choose your battles, right? And I let that be somebody else's battle, and I focused on other things until I was forced into a situation where I had to very quickly level up and learn it. So it's really good to know that there are people around our community that will step up and support those in need, in times of need, I guess.
Yeah, wonderful. So I want to talk to you about privacy and the issues that we're facing as far as privacy is concerned, and your journey. How did you and you're involved, one of the top distributors or influencers in the world as far as Clearphone and Clearphone Network. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Clearphone and just how you came to be involved with that, and then what that makes available?
Yeah, of course. I've got my Clearphone right here, with my EMF sticker. I lost my business, actually. I've worked predominantly online for nearly 8 years. Next month will be 8 years, and that's my livelihood. That's how I've made my income. I've been a single mum for 7.5 of those 8 years, and the sole provider for my kids. So, we've had a good life, and I had my business shut down out of the blue early last year. And that was because I was speaking the truth on social media. And I actually lost my Facebook account first. So that was the first, I think my Facebook account went first My Facebook account was randomly shut down overnight, which was a brutal blow because that was years and years of me networking, and my global contact list just wiped. All my history, all my message conversation history, like that was my business. It was just gone. So that was a very difficult experience for me to go through. In hindsight, it was a blessing in disguise because I realized how much better my reach was when I wasn't so heavily shadow banned, I guess. And I get so much more exposure now with my new Facebook page. But that was the first blow. And that was followed very quickly by the company that I was a sales rep for shutting down my account without warning because they did not want to be associated with the content that I was basically showcasing. So apparently, according to some companies, their reps can't have political opinions. And yeah, I don't actually know how much I can talk about that, but
Yeah.
we actually sued and took that to court and had a pretty nice outcome in the end. So turns out you can't do that to people. But I did lose my business and my income overnight, so that was really, really tough. And it was really tough because I was given the option. I was given the option to remove all of the content that they had highlighted and stop posting that kind of content. And I made the decision without much thought and hesitation that that was not an option for me because that was me living my truth, and I was not going to work for or associate anyone who tried to suppress that. Like, this is important stuff that we talk about and people needed to know it. So I chose to lose my income and give up my business and keep speaking the truth. And then what happened, and it's amazing how everything happens for a reason. I do not believe in coincidences, and I have always said that everything happens for a reason, even the really shitty stuff. So it was tough, and it was also in the midst of all of the lockdowns and trying to figure out and navigate our way through this new kind of way of living. And a friend in Canada reached out and said, hey, listen, I know what's happened recently to you and you're being censored really hard. And I've got this phone, and started telling me about these Clear phones and how they protect your data and basically give you a lot of power and control over your data and your privacy. And I was like, yes, I need one of these phones. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, so do so many of my friends. I'm not the only one who's going through this right now. I've got a lot of friends that need one of these phones. How can I get my hands on a whole bunch? And he shared with me that it actually has an affiliate program. So I was like, this is my jam. Like, I manifested this and God sent me this opportunity because for months and months and months of having no business and no income, I was provided with loads of opportunities and loads of offers and loads of career options. And I shut them all down because in my heart or in my soul or in my gut, I can't explain it, I knew that something would come along that would actually align with my purpose. And my purpose is educating myself and others and sharing the truth. Like, that is the thing that sets my soul on fire. And I was not about to attach my name or do anything that didn't basically set my soul on fire. Like, I wanted to do my passion work. I've done the making money and chasing dollars thing. I wanted to do what I feel like I was put on this earth to do. So I was happy to do it for nothing. Nobody gets paid for being a full-time truth seeker, right? But I knew that there had to be a way to monetize it somehow. I was putting relentless hours of work and like all of my heart and soul into finding information and sharing it. So I just knew there had to be a way somehow to make money out of doing what I love. And then I found this. It found me, right? And so I told a few people. I think I got my 10 friends that instantly came to my mind who I knew needed privacy and data security. And I got them on a call, and all 10 of them were like, this is amazing. Like, the world is ready for this. And since then, that was mid-January. So we're February, March, April. Are we mid-May now?
Yeah.
4 months ago. It's grown like wildfire. I have not worked very hard at this. Sincerely, it's been very organic growth. People are hunting me down for these phones because, like I said, people are ready. They've been waiting for something like this. They're over big tech and the censorship. They're over these kind of people who don't have good agendas, profiting off of us and our data. You know, what some people say to me, Elle, why does it matter if they have access to your data? And to be honest, I don't really have a lot to hide. It probably doesn't matter as much. Like it's not like I'm doing criminal activity or anything. And I think that's what people first think of, but they do not have the right to be profiting off of me. And I'm not a commodity to them. That's how I feel. And by ticking the box of I agree to terms and conditions on so many of these apps that we rely on and use every single day, we are giving them that right. So this phone blocks all of that, but still gives us the best of both worlds, where we can use apps like Facebook. And essentially, I guess what the phone does is builds a brick wall around each app. So while I'm in Facebook sending messages, I'm giving them the right to that data. But what I'm not giving them the right to, and what the phone's protecting me with, is basically they can't access my mic, my camera, they can't record my keystrokes, they can't mine all of the other data out of my phone, they can't track my location settings and all of those things. And the next step, which I've just started really getting my head around and utilizing, is that for referring other people to these phones, I get paid in crypto, in clear coins, and I can use those clear coins on a fully encrypted Visa card. So when I go and tap my card and pay, nobody has any information about that transaction other than the dollars exchanged. They don't know who it was. They don't know any of my other data. And if you're not aware, every time you tap your card or Apple Pay or any of these things, you're not just exchanging your personal data, it's all of your data. They have access to everything.
And not only Apple Pay, also any of the rewards programs and frequent shopper programs, etc. as well. That's all data tracking.
They all look at me so weird when I say, like, oh, no, thank you, I don't want to sign up to, like, your free rewards program. I'm like, hell no. It's crazy. And awareness, I think, is key, because most people just don't actually ever even give a second thought to these things. And if they understood what they were agreeing to and what was being done, they would probably feel quite different about it.
Yeah. That's what I say to people as well about different apps and that sort of thing. If anything's free, you're the product.
Yeah, that's it. I refuse to be a product to these people. They do not have humanity's best interest at heart. They are not good people, and I do not want to contribute to lining their pockets. And I can say that while I'm still, I'm not fully there with breaking away from the chokehold that they have on society, because I still use some of these apps, but I am very much in the process of merging my life off of them, because I don't want to play a part. I don't want to play that game.
No, absolutely. And I mean, with what we've seen recently as well, with what's happening in the world, not only locally, but nationally and internationally, with what's happening with the QR code systems and the sign-ins, people just don't seem to be questioning anything at all. And they just sort of, I watch a lot of the, particularly the millennials and that sort of thing, just sort of walk up and click, and just like, they don't sort of think about the ramifications, not even about what that's doing, but where the data's going, who's collecting the data. It's not the first time that the organisations like the Australian government have had data breaches with their information, etc.
No, and they're always very convenient, these data breaches. These major parties that have data breaches are all too convenient every single time. There's always something fishy going on. But you're right. And I like to sort of say, could you ever have imagined 6 to 12 months ago, let's say 12 months ago, nobody was ever imagining we would get to where we are today just 12 months later. If you said, I remember having conversations with people like, there is no way they will shut down global travel for more than 6 weeks or 12 weeks. That it can't, it's not possible. The entire economy is going to crash. There's no way they can force people to lock down for so long. People will riot in the streets. But all of these things have played out. I guess you could say worse than any of us expected or imagined. And for me personally, my belief now is that anything is possible. So if they're forcing us to line up and scan a QR code and check in every single shop that we go to, and 12 months ago that would have seemed really far-fetched. What does 12 months from now look like, and how many more of your rights are you going to give away and comply to? How many more orders? Like, how far does it need to go? How bad does it need to get? How much does it need to challenge you until you actually decide, I'm not okay with this anymore? At what point? And I often ask that question around vaccines as well. I have one fully vaccinated child and one fully unvaccinated child. And that's a topic and discussion of its own for another time. But
Mm.
people, I often say, most of us, we got around 6 or 7 vaccines, and now our children get over 60 vaccines, and it's on the rapid incline. So are you okay with 60? Are you okay with 200? Like, at what point does it need to get to until you personally start to say, I actually don't know if I feel okay with this anymore? Because that's the direction that we're heading with across the board, with all of our rights being removed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can just imagine what it's like for parents and and we've sort of worked with clients and that sort of thing where they need to move geographically, they need to like change professions, all that sort of thing. So that's why I got sort of super excited about the phone conversation as well. This is my Clear phone. So I think, and it's a lot of people sort of waved and dismissed people about sort of being conspiracy theory and that sort of thing. You're one of those conspiracy people.
I'm one of those conspiracy theorists, there's crazy conspiracy theorists who seems to always be around about 12 months ahead of the game with my conspiracy theories that just happen to turn into facts. But I don't know how many things I need to predict to become true. It would be like 50 things that I say are going to happen, and everyone holds me accountable to the one thing that I got wrong. They're like, you got that wrong. You said Trump was going to be president and he's not. So, you've got no credibility. But it's crazy, and people at the end of the day, it's just cognitive dissonance. They believe what they want to believe, and there's a lot of things that I actually understand why they don't want to believe that they're true, and they don't want to accept that this is actually the reality, because it's really hard to fathom a lot of what our reality is. But yeah,
absolutely.
I love your screensaver though, by the way, that lion, that's pretty badass.
Thank you. I like it. It's I love the phone. So there's 3 different models of the Clear phone. I've got the largest one, which is the 620, and it's great. Some people prefer the smaller models, but and the other thing I was going to say about the phones as well is I've been talking about this stuff for about 8 years. So indirectly, it's a form of bittersweet sort of validation that I sort of get to be right about some stuff, but also I'm sad about it as well. But I've been banging on about this for about 8 years, and I spoke again on the weekend and talking about, like, I don't talk about anything that's like conspiracy theory. All the stuff that I reference in is all publicly available if you do the research, and it's all available on news sites and all that sort of information, including information about that they have the ability to be able to GPS track coordinates of phones, and that's what happened in places like Victoria, where they could tell whether people were traveling further than like whatever their restricted radius, whether it was like 5 kilometers or any of that sort of thing, So I think it's very spooky, and I love the Clear phone stuff, and it's super exciting about the fact that what it makes available, and it's interesting too because I don't know a lot from a technical point of view about the phone. All I just do is I share a couple of videos about it, and people just sort of jump on board and like, yep, that's great. I want to get involved, and I don't want to have all my data taken by using Apple or Android or any of those sort of phones.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The right people are like all for it, and it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're right, and it is sad. Like you said, I've been talking about this stuff for 8 years, and I have mixed emotions about it now because nobody wants to be right about this stuff. Like, please, someone prove me wrong, and prove to me that I am a crazy conspiracy theorist, because that would be a far better reality for me to swallow than the fact that I'm actually right about all this awful stuff. And I would very publicly, like, give me a megaphone and I will tell the world that I am wrong. But that would be a happy ending for me if that was to happen. My children's future would be looking a lot brighter if I was wrong.
Absolutely. And I've had the good fortune to be able to do interviews with the CEO from Clear United, Michael Proper, as well. And I just love the culture of their organization. They're progressive and talking about all these solutions. And even with the fact that you mentioned about like getting access to a cryptocurrency wallet on the phone, and then Visa card access and that sort of thing, that solves the whole issue and conversations that I've been having with clients for a few years now about accessibility and onboarding and offboarding. Sometimes it's just a little bit too confusing, but to have a privacy, have a private phone that's that enables encryption on blockchain and has access to a wallet really solves a lot of problems and issues for people in relation to keeping their data secure and keeping their information secure, and also giving them access to learn about things like cryptocurrency. But also there's the business opportunity side of it as well. Do you want to say a little bit more about like the business side of things?
Yeah, look,
if
I
people
guess
want to become an affiliate?
it's really simple, and I guess just have a conversation with Paul or myself about it. But I'm in a relationship now, but prior to this year, I was always a single mom. And being a single mom who chooses the path that I choose to raise my children naturally is, you're forced into a corner where you don't have a lot of options. They cut off your benefits and you can't put them in childcare, so you can't go and work a traditional job. So they can't even go to kindergarten anymore. So until your child's 5, you're basically stuck in, and you have very, very limited options. So I am all for empowering people who choose the same life path as me. Obviously that's, sharing my belief systems, and I want to support those kind of people. But single mothers and mothers who choose not to vaccinate their children and wear that burden that society then places on them, that they can't utilize and function in society just like everybody else can because they won't inject their kids with poison. There needs to be alternative options for mothers and families like these to make money. And Clear is just one of many. I've got many ideas I can throw your way. I don't care if you choose to work with us or you choose to do something else. I'm all for supporting entrepreneurship and making money online, and having a global business as well, and having multiple streams of income. We've learned very quickly that you could have a very successful business in one country, and like that overnight, that country's economy can be literally wiped out. So, having a global business is important. Having an online business is really important. A business that you don't need to travel to go to work, that other people don't need to travel to, that you don't need to import or export or rely on any of these things. And you can just navigate this business so easily through such, uncertain times. So all of those things are really important to me. And there's so many reasons why I love what we do here with Clear. But the thing that I love the most is obviously that it aligns with my purpose. And it really is just such an organic business. If you get this into the hands of the right people, it's just going to spread like wildfire. And there would be, right now, I would estimate less than 2,000 phones in Australia on the ground as we speak. So no one knows about it. It's a wide open market, and the same is in every other country. I've been the top rep in the company for almost 4 months straight. And if I've only got a team of about 2,500, then there's no other country that's really doing much. It means that no one has a bigger team than that in any other country in the world. So if you've got contacts overseas, I look at the photos and the images that come out from things like the London protests. Estimated up to 1 million people were at that protest. So that's like your ideal market. These people have had enough. They are over it. They want their power back. And giving somebody a Clear phone for so many reasons is giving them back a little bit of that power, but it's also taking a little bit of that power away from, the authorities that we're trying to push back against. So the phone is a very small aspect of what we do. We touched on the Visa cards and using encrypted pay, and the fact that it's on the blockchain and we get paid in cryptocurrency. Phase 2 is data security. So we're actually also having decentralized data, which is sharded. So I'm not going to go into the techie stuff right now because it's a little bit difficult to explain very briefly, but it's all secure. We won't be using any Google Clouds or Apple Clouds or anything like that to store any of our data. It will all be encrypted and it will all be decentralized. And then the third thing is we're creating a community. So we are creating a like-minded, conscious community where people like Paul, who have amazing content that they're sharing, it could just be a valuable post, an informative post, a piece of information, a podcast. If people see that and like that and actually get value from that, you will actually get paid to share your content on this new platform that we're creating. It is as close to Facebook as far as functionality goes than any other of these alternative platforms popping up that I've seen. So I guess that's a big win because that's obviously the major player in the social media space, but it is entirely decentralized. It is by the people, for the people, and there are the best of intentions at heart with this. So that's phase 3, and that's the direction that we're heading in.
Yeah, wonderful. And I guess the thing is too that's super exciting too is that the phones work anywhere in the world, work on any GSM SIM card. I mean, the phone market, I can't remember the number of billions of phones. It can take 2 SIM cards as well. You know, that's the amazing thing about the tech.
It's dual SIM, so you can have a mini SD card if you want to, and your SIM card, so you can have huge amounts of storage. It's really comparable to the top iPhone and Samsung on the market right now as far as the specs go. You can have all the normal apps. I guess they're the most common questions that I get asked. And you just whack your SIM card in and use it. It's an unlocked phone. So it takes 1 to 2 weeks to get your phone to your front door. And that's about it, really. They start at $600. They go up to just under $2,000, depending on which model you choose. And for referring sales, for referring a friend to buy one, you're getting a minimum of 10%. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's great.
It's changed my life. And I've met, you know what, I didn't even say this, and this is by far the most powerful thing that has come into my life this year since I became a part of the Clear United family. It's not the freedom and the money and the data privacy and the security and all the things I talked about. It is the Clear family that I've been exposed to, because some people that I know introduced me to some people that they know, who introduced me to some people that they know, who opened up their networks to me. And I've met people like Paul, who I otherwise did not know, who have become really good friends and like family to me. And I have had people reach out to me when I was going through this crisis with the police. It was the Clear family and the wider community that got around me, that donated money towards the lawsuits, that offered me advice, that sat with me on the phone until 3 a.m. counseling me through what I needed to do next. Like, this community is by far the most powerful thing that I've been a part of. I am beyond grateful for it. And I just know that I like to use this. Somebody posted this image. I think you did. I actually think it was you, Paul. Maybe you posted it first or me. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you posted it. It said something like, it was some lions walking. And it was like, we've tried to wake them up for over a year. It's time to let them be and focus on the conscious community, focus on those that are wide awake, and actually empower our community and lift each other up.
Yeah, so wake up the lions.
Yeah, like it's it. We are the lions. It's time to actually empower each other. Stop trying to educate people that are just going to argue with you, and they want to be asleep. They do not want to wake up. And instead, get around those who get it. Get around the conscious community and actually put some power, support each other's businesses, support each other's content, connect each other to other people that are going to benefit each other, and let's network each other up. Let's all continue to grow, and just, that's literally where my heart is right now, in our conscious community, and supporting and backing everyone as much as I can, and adding as much value as I can. And the Clear phones is a very small piece.
Wonderful. Well, it's been great to chat with you, Elle, and I really appreciate and acknowledge you for your journey, and thank you for your leadership in the Clear community as well. I'm going to post the link that people can register for the information on the Clear phones, or if they want to hit me up in a chat on Messenger and that sort of thing as well. I'm going to be speaking. The next lot of rallies around Australia are happening on the 29th of May, and I'll be speaking at the Sunshine Coast event.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'll be at the Gold Coast. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll be there on the 29th, speaking at the Gold Coast.
We'll have a table there at the Sunshine Coast. It's at Cotton Tree Park on the 29th. So we'll have a table there to talk to people about the Clear phones after I speak as well. So that's super exciting.
That's perfect. Yeah, look, with the link that Paul's going to drop, check it out. There's loads of info there. If you want more info, just send him a message, or feel free to send me a message and let me know you're one of Paul's friends. I'm happy to help you out as well. Paul's a busy man. We're all busy, but we always make time for what's important. And we're happy to help. It can't hurt to have a look at some info, and there's a really big opportunity here to work with us at the moment as well. But if you're at the Gold Coast rally, come say hi. I'll be there on the 29th as well. So unfortunately, I won't get to see you at the Sunshine Coast, but all doing our bit and going where we're needed.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything, Elle. It's been wonderful to chat to you. I hope to catch up with you soon. Perhaps see you Thursday night at our
Yes,
launch party in Brisbane. So,
I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on. See you, Paul. Thanks for
okay,
having
thank
me.
you. Cheers.